Greetings and good vibes, everyone. Welcome back to True Story by Paternity Pros. I'm Shelly from Paternity Pros based in East Orange, New Jersey. Here, we believe in keeping paternity testing clear, professional, and respectful. No drama, no judgment, just the facts you need to move forward. In today's True Story, we're tackling a common question. Does the mother need to be tested too in a paternity case? Whenever I ask if the mother will be participating in testing, I hear everything from why, I already know it's my child, to no way, I don't need her trying to switch up my sample and mess things up. And honestly, I get it. There's a lot of emotions wrapped up in paternity testing, but today I want to walk you through why including the mother helps. Here's the truth. We inherit half of our DNA from our mother and half from our father. When only the alleged father and child are tested, the lab carefully analyzes the genetic markers, but without the mother's DNA, additional interpretation may be needed to determine which genes came from which parent. But when the mother is tested too, the lab can now filter out her half and focus directly on what should match the father. This makes the results stronger and more conclusive. Now, I've shared before that I've personally gone through paternity testing with my daughters and their dad. I requested the test even though I was already confident they were his children. But honestly, I'm an overthinker by nature, so throughout the testing process, I found myself wondering things like, what if there's a mistake at some point during the testing process? Naturally, there wasn't, but participating in the test gave me peace of mind. I saw the collection handled myself, and when I reviewed the results, it reassured me that everything was done right. The report showed their dad's name was aligned with the XY markers. XY means that the lab picked up the male chromosomes. I remember being taught in school that women have the X chromosomes and men have an X and a Y. Since he was the only male tested, seeing the father's name aligned correctly with the XY markers gave me peace of mind that the samples hadn't been mixed up. I could see how each daughter had markers matching one of my markers and one of their dad's markers. That made me feel even more confident that the samples were handled correctly. It's one thing to know it emotionally, but it's another thing to see it scientifically. Now, don't get me wrong, you can still get accurate results without ever testing the mother. Paternity tests work with just the alleged father and child when needed. But including the mother gives the lab more information, which means stronger results, faster answers, and fewer chances of running into issues where a jurisdiction or an agency requires the mother's participation before accepting your results. Mother participation becomes especially important in relationship testing. That's when you're testing an alleged relative, like a grandparent, a sibling, aunt, or uncle, to figure out biological relationships instead of testing the father directly. In these cases, the mother's DNA helps the lab to separate the maternal side from the paternal side, making the results even more accurate and conclusive. Here's why we always encourage mothers to participate at Paternity Pros. It's already included in the price. You're not paying anything extra as long as your samples are tested at the same time as the alleged father and child. Mother participation helps to prevent inconclusive results, especially in relationship cases where the child shares less than half of the family member's DNA. Mother participation in a paternity test can save you from needing to retest and pay extra later if her participation becomes required, especially in custody or legal matters. In legal cases, having the mother's DNA on file can make a difference. It strengthens the evidence. It helps courts and agencies process your case faster, and it protects you from unnecessary delays and challenges down the road. That's why here at Paternity Pros in East Orange, New Jersey, whenever we handle legal paternity testing, we always ask if the mother is available to test. We're not lawyers, we're not judges, but after working closely with accredited labs and seeing hundreds of families through this process, I can tell you, the more complete the DNA profile, the smoother everything tends to go. As a private paternity DNA agent, my role is simple but very important. I collect your samples professionally, I make sure they meet chain of custody standards when needed, and I work with accredited labs that are trusted across the country. I don't give legal or medical advice, but I do make sure your DNA collection is done right the first time, so you have answers you can rely on. If you have questions about your legal rights or what the test means, what the results means for you or your family, you should always speak with a qualified attorney or a doctor. I'm simply sharing what I've seen what I've seen work best in the real world with real clients and real outcomes. Until next time, this has been a true story by Paternity Pros.